It is tempting to think that more leadership or some kind of improved leadership will help us and our organizations work better. But what if leadership was part of the problem instead of the solution? What if our understanding of it only maintained principles of the past, which no longer serve us well? That's what I explore in my book, Dare to Unlead, and today in this podcast. Join me and my guest, a person quoted in the book or in tune with his values, to learn from them what it takes to unlead and succeed together. Welcome to the bonus episode of the Dare to Unlead podcast. A bonus episode? Why? With this podcast series, I intended to give life to each chapter of the book. There are 11, through conversations with people who have inspired it or are in line with what it calls for. So we've had brilliant guests share their thoughts, ideas, and experiences. I loved interviewing Myron Rogers, Stove Boyd, Jeff Boudreau, Lois Kelly, Lee Bryant, Susan Skrupski, John Husband and Harold Joshi together, Sharon Udi, Jennifer Sertle, Helen Bevan, and Peter Block. You may have noticed that my guests are quite diverse, men and women from at least 3 countries, plus one with me, from various fields of work. And yet, looking back at this beautiful series of 11 episodes, I realized I had cultivated a form of entre-soi, or social grouping. All my guests are intellectuals, people rather privileged in terms of education and access to means and channels of expression, people who already have a voice, and quite a loud and powerful one, even. But I didn't include the voice of the frontline workers, the factory floor. Think people who do not work in head offices, but on the production line or in local branches, in hospitals, or on the road, people who are directly and permanently in contact with customers or patients or production, whose work can hardly be performed or not at all be performed remotely. In the United States alone, there were close to 32 million frontline workers in 2020, about half, 16 million, in the healthcare industry. 82% of all workers in the US are frontline roles, and nearly 90% of all companies rely on frontline workers. So, any modern organization concerned with collective efficiency, innovation, and engagement owes it to its frontline employees to really engage them, to listen to them, of course, but also to actively involve them in shaping and driving change. This is what I advocate for in Dare to Unlead, based on several real-life successful experiences in the pharmaceutical and other sectors. For this bonus episode, I turn to two of my former colleagues who have contributed to one of these experiences from the front line. Mrs. Lavanya Madhuri Sethu, based out of Hyderabad in India, and Mr. Luis Maldonado, who works in the US. So, Lavanya and Luis. Let's listen carefully to their stories and perspectives because they provide very precious insights to evolve and improve corporate leadership. Let's go. First, meet Lavanya.
I'm Lavanya from Hyderabad, India. So, so on a personal front, to tell, I'm wife of a person who proudly served Indian Air Force for 20 years, and mother of a beautiful daughter who is pursuing her masters in communication now. Um, Coming to the professional front, I have done my masters in biotechnology, and I have 16 years of experience in quality assurance in different roles.
So, if you hear the acronym QA further down in this episode, know that it stands for Quality Assurance. The acronym GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Practices, CAPA for Corrective and Preventive Actions, and SOPs for Standard Operating Procedures. If you're not sure, just check the show notes. Now, meet Louis.
Thank you for having me here. I'm Luis Maldonado. I've been in the pharma industry now for about almost 15 years. And prior to that, I was 15 years in the trucking industry in New York. Now I'm in Swiftwater, Pennsylvania.
Luis was, and still is, directly involved on the shop floor. He worked in an entity called Cart Transfer, which participates in the manufacturing process of egg-based flu vaccines.
My job, I was actually transitioning from a larger department to a smaller department. And what I was doing was actually taking the cars out of incubation time into a refrigerator. And that's due to quality.
Both Lavanya and Luis have a long experience working with the shop floor or even on the shop floor. I asked them to explain what work used to look like there before we change it together.
It was a regular working style for any QA person. Just fix SOPs, follow SOPs, ensure compliance, all those things. We have a regular interaction with the shop floor. So until a certain level of the person, for example, there is in charge of a department who comes to us for because I was into quality systems management. I was not going to the shop floor regularly. So we handle change controls, deviations, and gap assessments, kappa, all those things. So they come to us to discuss on the quality systems. So we were having a visibility until the middle management or the supervisor level, not to the operator. Exclusively about me, I'm saying. So because I am not into IPQA, in process quality, I was not going to the shop floor. So I had contact only until the middle manager, but not at the operator level. So I was not aware whether they truly understand the systems or so they are executing. So I was not fully aware. So we were only in contact with middle management, and it was not. I don't say it is difficult, but it took some, like, we have to convince them in certain cases to pull them into quality. But yeah, they were aware of the processes of compliance and all those things. So it was okay. It was, I don't on a scale, I don't rate at a very highest or very lowest. It was okay handling them. So the kind of motivation engagement were a little bit at the lower side.
When working the shop floor, I felt like I was working for the company, but not being part of the company. And that's a feeling that a lot of people in the shop floor feel. They feel left out. They feel that everything happens and during the day shift and not on the off shifts. So what do? You are a piece of machinery and you're part of that machine because you feel so disconnected. You're not interacting with leadership. Your managers are there to help you, but it's not the same thing as being one department, one piece working together.
Lavanya, Luis, and their co-workers were at the service of a system which, like in many other organizations, values expertise, alignment, and execution above everything else.
So the regular quality approach is like discuss with the shop floor. Not I don't say shop floor, but at least discuss with the middle management. Think on whether if it is an observation we get from audit or some kind of deviation we had and we have a kappa, our focus will be on compliance. So what the regulatory guideline says, what is the need of the hour here. So we fix kappas, we ask them to prepare procedure, or if it is quality we prepare procedure, and then it goes into a document, and then we conduct trainings. So this is a very kind of traditional kind of mindset. We say, see, you are working for a GMP company and you have to abide by the rules. Don't tell all these things, follow the SOP. This is the classical way.
This classical approach trusts that knowledge and instructions cascaded down through managers and internal communications deliver reliability, quality, productivity, and all things necessary to good business. And for a long time, it has. This approach, resting on fundamentals invented many decades ago as mass production began, has served us well, until it didn't. We have changed as individuals, as workers, as citizens, as much as society, consumers, technologies, and business have changed too. We can't apply the recipes of the past and expect great outcomes today. Many organizations apply quick fixes and so called change management which do not change anything to their identity nor to the social dynamics among their members. But sometimes a paradigm shift happens. Along with Lavanya and Luis and others, I have been a contributor to one of these shifts. In this case, it started in quality, but it can really start anywhere else as well. Both Lavanya and Luis have been part of a global, cross-function and cross-level volunteer team invited to drive a much-needed change in the organization's work culture. After a call for volunteer issued across the entire company, they were picked by a jury of senior managers and volunteers among dozens of anonymized applications.
Interesting. I saw the application and I saw that I could actually help out in this need that the company needed. Why I say that? Because I wanted to be the voice of the shop floor. I call it the forgotten group. You're there every single day, doing everything, every day doing the same thing over and over and over. And you know what happens? There's a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas. So they're afraid to bring it up because maybe the manager might not be interested or getting rejection. And that's what I saw, that we could actually make changes to improve the process.
The intention of this kind of approach is to create the conditions for a peer-to-peer movement to grow that transforms interactions, that mobilizes individuals in a community of peers who care for one another. From there, collaboration and good work and continuous improvement emerge naturally. For more details about how it works, check out the book.
Well, the big opportunity approach is from the bottom up. You get volunteers, people that are interested in making change, and together you make things happen.
So this is the concept basically. So people owning the process. It is not that I am coming, this is my job from 9 to 5, I am working this, I have to charge this media, I have to wash this vessel, I have to do this, I have to complete this process to close the change control. No, people owning the process. It is not a robotic process. You are a human being. You have to work with heart as well, not only mind, connecting both so that we move ahead, learning more things in collaboration.
I'll give you an example. The standard operating procedures are written a long time ago. And as the time go, things should change. But it never changed. It was working fine. Why change it? We look at it very different. We're doing the process. We can make a change to make it better, save time, engage people that were not engaged, and most important, the quality. How can we make it better? And all that saved so much money to the company that when we started doing it, they said, wow, till today, it's still going on like that. We had one department that was making a lot of mistakes for many reasons. Why? The equipment, the timing, the tiredness. And that created problems throughout. So now that delays the process. So we got together and we decided, well, how can we make these changes and avoid those issues? And when you get that group together, that working together, say, why don't we try this? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do this? And the important thing is, if your manager or leadership allows you to do things like that, the company will do a lot better. And that's what we did. And we proved it out. No mistakes for 2.5 years straight. No mistakes at all. And when people start seeing these things, wow, oh, let me do what they're doing.
That's amazing. So, why was it not possible before?
Because everything was top down. You just go there, you do your work, and that is it. You don't like it? Bye bye.
Okay. Wasn't there any quality circle or things like that?
Yes, absolutely. But if it's working, nobody wants to make a change. If it fails, this is because we made this change. That's why it didn't work. But when we start making those changes and they saw the difference, wow, we should have done this years ago.
That's real continuous improvement, fueled by the engagement and collaboration of people wherever they are in the organization. And for everyone involved, this new way of approaching work issues is an eye-opener.
Because we are not robots. we are human beings. We have emotions inside. We have so many things which impact our working style. So that kind of engagement, motivation should continuously be there inside a human being. And further, there should be some force to engage the workforce towards having that mindset. So I understood later on, yes, this is something which there can be some people with bright ideas, or they want to tell something, but maybe they don't have some forum where they can share or highlight things, or some people may be lacking some kind of motivation or appreciation for the work they are doing. So after I came back and we started this movement, I understood that there are lot many people who are talented. It is not with respect to designation or not with respect to their level, but the level of ideas they were having were amazing. Maybe they were not able to communicate in a language to the higher ups, but there was amazing talent which I understood. I realized that yes, there is a spark within everybody who can bring some difference. So this was a great experience in my throughout my career. I can name this initiative where I learned many things from others and I connected with so many people.
Connection. Yes. Connecting the system to more of itself. As my friend and mentor Myron Rogers explained, it is a critical success factor in organizational change. The deliberate, intentional action of connecting more colleagues to each other in a variety of ways across functional lines, but also hierarchical levels, locations, and more is one of the unique features of this approach. Why does it matter? Because relationships are not just what makes work more enjoyable. Today, relationships are the work.
Because it was a disconnected that we had in the shop floor. As we started doing things together, talking about it, making changes, and actually become an infection for other departments, because now it's like a virus. They're doing it, it's working. Let's try something new. And let me tell you, the interaction with other departments, other sites was amazing because we're doing the same work. But what happens if you don't communicate? How do you know you're not going to get something from that department or even that site that could help your site? And that's what we did. Expose the shop floor to become a voice of the company.
This quality cultural initiative was such a different kind of approach where it is not binding a person within an area. We don't say you do your work. We say, okay, think on different things. Okay, you are working in this area, but you can think of improving this area as well as something else which you have observed. So if you don't have connection with other team, come on, let us connect with them. So in this way, people were getting connected with different departments. We saw people with a different kind of role, for example, a finance person or a HR person who were never thinking about GMP because they have their set of own activities. It is not needed, but they were also coming into the movement saying that yes, we are in, we also want to participate. So in this way we were actually digging deep down into the area where we were talking with a even a contract person who was in a washing area, so who was also curious to participate, to tell, okay, we have this kind of issue here. Maybe I think regularly I'm working in this way, but I think this is the way we can make some difference. By this way we can save something, or by this way we can save some time, or we can improve compliance, or we are doing some processes which is redundant, duplicate. I'm recording here, I'm recording here, I'm recording there, but I don't think we have to record three ways, or this is electronically recorded but still we are recording somewhere. So in this way they were coming up with ideas where this was completely different. So in this way we were actually aligning with the regulatory requirements. At the same time we were actually focusing on the thing which is needed. So there is a lot of difference. So here uh, even the top management was very happy seeing their team getting engaged, motivated, coming up not only with problems but with solutions as well. It was not like they are coming and complaining, I don't have this, I don't have that, there is some problem, but they were coming up with some solutions saying that we already spoke with this team, and we have this solution. So this is like in a short, if I want to say, there was lot of ownership when you compare with the classical and this. There was lot of ownership here at the shop floor, which is the main needed thing in any area, whether it's a GMP industry or some industry. Ownership is the main thing. They should not think I'm coming for some money which is getting paid, but they have to own that work. That's the only way we can change things.
We change things by getting people to want to act together for a common cause over time. Contrast this with traditional corporate efforts to get people on board during the onboarding process, only to ignore them afterward, an experience many employees can relate to.
Later on, when they go into the shop floor and they complete their all SOPs, trainings, they go inside to work, the fire which they have ignited during the onboarding will slowly diminish, because they don't see any purpose of what they read and what they are doing. They, so somehow they miss that linkage, that connection, and they don't have some they don't see some. I'm not telling for every company. I don't know if there are some certain platforms in other companies, but for me, what is my thought process, I'm just trying to explain. So if there is no forum or area where these people can connect with other stakeholders or share their ideas, or they share like this is a process where we can improve, or they may think I'm a new joinee, I should not talk. First of all, I should learn here, I have to unlearn all my previous things, I have to get adopted to this area. So some kind of mindset, so this should not be there. So not only policies, but they should have some kind of forums where this policy is working, right? And these kind of movements, they can actually keep this fire within the employee continuously. So they can reignite the purpose of their work, they can encourage them, motivate them. So it is not only industry, but even in family, if some kind of motivation, appreciation is lacking, because as I said, we are human beings, we need that kind of appreciation every time. So that appreciation should be there as a fuel for people. So these movements can ignite, can give certain kind of power, but slowly, if it is not integrated into the culture and commitment from the top, there is no use. It comes back to the zero. The legacy repeats. So these kind of moments are actually a triggering factor to ignite this fire. But at the same time, they have to. I don't say like this movement should continue, but it should embed into the culture from the top to bottom.
All right. It seems clear now that this community engagement approach to business and corporate culture opportunities is not your typical change management thing. But does it work across cultures? Can we engage people together while holding on to their cultural differences? That's a really important question for global organizations. But also, given the workforce's increasing diversity, it matters for any team, really.
We have different cultures across countries. We, not only countries, if you take India, it's a very diverse land. We have different uh, religions, different languages, different background, so it changes a lot. But we should not think anything is impossible, everything is possible, because it's a mindset. It's a mindset of doing the right thing in the right way and owning it, whether it is quality, pharmacovigilance, whatever it is.
Lewis explains that it is because we all care. It's a hard thing. It's human. The caring brings out the best from people, wherever they are, and it brings them together. Unlike conventional methods that push for alignment and conformity to a dominant cultural model, this community engagement approach makes the diversity of cultures and perspectives a real driver for progress. But what kind of progress? What does it bring exactly? Let's hear again from Lavanya and Louis.
There were many people in the shop floor who never saw the face of site head, because they were going inside to work, they were going home, but they never had a chance. So Fine, there were some lean management things where the leaders were going inside to see, but they were scared. Like, I see my side head from afar seeing, like, yeah, okay, sir has come, I'll go back. But there was never a chance me going directly and speaking what I think. We said, like, okay, we'll go to the senior leadership, we'll discuss what is happening, what we want to do, and then we will ask them whether they can come and hear to the volunteers. So we went to them, we told them what we are thinking and what is the purpose, and then we invited them, and they said, yes, fine, we will come, we will listen what you want to say, what are your ideas, and how different they are from the current things. So they came. So when they saw people presenting action plans, they were like, they were amazed. They thought, like, wow, we never saw from cross functions people are coming as one team, presenting some other area which is not related to them and talking something, and they are coming up with, this can be issue, this can be something resistance from this area, so this is the solution. They were coming up with everything. So they were very happy after the meeting was done. They were so happy. They said, like, wow, wow, this is great. We always wanted people to work like one department, and this is how it is working. And we really appreciate the way you are working. And they said, like, can you, Lavanya, can you conduct some more workshops for the shop floor where we can engage them, empower them, ask them whether there are any issues in their areas, or can they give some improvement ideas. So can you conduct some workshops, which was for the first time, Celine. So it was like, wow, within very few days it was, from the top, from the bottom, from the middle, everybody were like so excited. And then within next few months everybody were in. So that was the initial story, which I will never forget. I still see those pictures sometimes, and I really feel happy seeing those memories.
We have an individual called Chuck. He's been in the company for many, many years, and his voice was never heard. And one of the things that he felt very, very down every year doing the same thing over and over, and came with some ideas that he says this could save the company time and money. But because they actually felt like they want to touch it, they want to experiment, they didn't do anything. Once he started to talk of his ideas and it's starting to work, now it became so popular. He actually he actually used to go to the cafeteria have lunch. Now it takes him 15 minutes longer because everybody wants to say, "Wow, that's great! You know how you did it, this, did everything else." What's interesting is how a person that was so disengaged, negative, become engaged and positive. Again, it comes down to together you make it better.
Chuck's story is indeed exemplary. Because no one cared, he kept an improvement idea for himself for 9 years. 9 years! When, thanks to our movement, he finally felt heard and encouraged, Chuck, the disgruntled shop floor trainer, implemented the improvement he'd been thinking of. It made a small but noticeable difference, which we celebrated. And so Chuck became popular, recognized, and proud. Now, guess what? Just a few months later, Chuck came up with another improvement idea that resulted this time in big savings for the company. Such collective, voluntary movement brings great value to organizations. But as we see, the beauty is that they also bring a lot to the individuals involved.
At first, I didn't know what I was going to get into. I knew that I could help out. In what capacity, I had no idea. But to bring so many individuals to volunteer, which makes it very different. When you volunteer, you want to do something. Now you don't have to do something. You want to do something. That brought to me a skill that I didn't know I had, which was bringing together so many people to go and do the same goal that we all want to do. It brought me happiness. Why? Seeing people engaged, seeing people come up with different ideas and help them say, you know what, that's a good idea. Let's bring it to a different department. Let's move it on. Let's make it happen. And they feel appreciated when something that happens. But not only that, it helps the department. So that comes back where you feel like you're part of the company and not just work for the company. And this brought so much joy just to see everything get together and really, really feel like, you know what? We're doing something positive. We're doing something to help the world. We're doing something to just get better.
It was like a self realization. I never knew that I had that kind of energy, power, where I can pull people, I can connect them, I can learn so many things. Because in my area, I was thinking like, okay, I know all the process, I know all the procedures, so I come, I go, I do my work, whatever is given, I deliver. So that was kind of mindset. But I learned, no, not this is not the way to work. We have to explore many other areas. We have to reinvent the wheel. We So many people don't reinvent the wheel. This is what generally they say. No, you have to reinvent the wheel. You have to find out different ways of working, because GMPs are not the same since ages. They're getting updated. Regulatory requirements are not the same. They are getting updated. Why? They can make a mandate, right? But they are getting updated. Things change with the time. Similarly, we have to change ourselves. So we have to rethink on the way we are working, whether we are doing the same work, how we can make it fun as well. Because yes, sorry, this is a regulated environment. I'm not talking about fun and all things, but for a person who is working, they have to enjoy. So we have to create an environment where people are happy to be compliant. They should feel happy. They should not feel stressed. I have to do this, I have to do that. When they understand the purpose, they will never feel stressed. If you give them proper time, if you give a proper planning, you don't push them, you don't stress them, they are happy. They're happy to do what is written. So I have learned it is possible. It is possible to deliver more without stress. We can learn from so many people, not only from a person who is above me, but from a person who is at a shop floor also. I learned so many things from them, even from shop floor.
It also brought Lewis an award, the Inspiring Workplaces Unsung Hero Award. So well deserved.
Absolutely. And here it is. Yes, let me show you. That was an amazing award. Why I say that? Because when I went and gave a discussion or a speech on how we operate, how it feels to be part of the shop floor, how it feels when you wake up in the morning, you have to go there repeatedly, go do over and over the same thing. And to talk in front of all the HR individuals that were there, that was amazing. A little scary, but it worked out. When you have people working on the top and not actually experiencing what individuals pass through, they open their eyes and say, wow, that's how it is. That's how you really feel. And that brought so much energy to the room where people actually, their silence, they heard every word that I said. And when I finished, it was an amazing experience because they kept talking about the speech that I actually was talking my own experience.
What is happening here is deep people engagement. I see well intentioned organizations doing their best to meet the mundane expectations of their employees. That's nice, but it's not people engagement. Keeping your employees in a consumerist mindset will not solve any business problem, and you can never fully satisfy all their desires, which are infinite. On the other hand, engaging people, letting them shape the future together, creating the conditions for them to feel like actors rather than spectators, or worse, victims, is what really engages people. Maybe not 100% of them.
Some people do. Some people just think it's just a job. But when you have people that wants to make it better and you have a stop, you have a wall there and saying, sorry, you can't do that. So then what are you there for? You know you can make it better. And that's why a lot of companies lose a lot of good people they do not listen to the employees.
But when they do listen, it's a huge advantage to attracting and retaining talent. Isn't it, Lavanya?
Celine, so I'm a very spiritual kind of person. So I like to spend my free time going to temples, visiting temples, understanding the Indian way of living, the Vedas, and all those things. And I spend most of my time listening to the discourses by great gurus. So one of the guru said, like, if a person stamps on a snake and thinks that the snake will not bite me because I have my feet on it and the risk is mitigated, you are wrong. Someday you will lift up your feet, the snake will bite you. So, similarly, in the organizations, if we hide the issues, we fix some quick fixes, we have some procedures, and we think, okay, we are fine today. No, the traditional kind of firefighting quick fixes, they won't save the industries. So, we have to identify, we have to give time, we have to give right action and mitigate it. Otherwise, we are in dead danger because the traditional kind of boss, okay, boss says you have to listen silently, implement. See, the generations have changed. If you see the current generations, the millennials, they are not going to hear you what you are saying until unless you speak some logic. They are not going to buy you because they are already from a very good background. They have all comforts, luxuries. Money is not with the main thing for nowadays generation. So earlier generation, they used to work for money. Money is not the main thing now. They should sense that purpose where they are working. They should sense that kind of culture there. Otherwise, they are not. We are not going to retain talent.
I asked Louis and Lavanya what they would like leaders to know from this or to understand better. Hey, that's free advice directly from the shop floor.
When you give people freedom, when you give people time, things could work very different. And working in shop floor, like I said before, it's hard to work there because you are a piece of that machine. And when you give a little bit of time to do different things, then at that point, people will see a difference of how much better it could be.
Leaders. So there are different kinds of leaderships. We all know we were trained on many things. The leaders, there are different kinds of mentalities. So all kind of leadership is good because it depends on the situation, how you become. You become aggressive, you become empathetic, you play emotionally with the intelligence and all those things. So leadership, basically, they should lead by example. For any business, it's the delivery. There is no doubt. For a business to sustain, there should be delivery. But for a delivery to sustain, it is not always a kind of traditional thing. There are we see many companies today. They deploy different kinds of HR, say it is employee benefits or this kind of culture, that anything is quality culture for me. So leaders, what they fix, not only for showing regulatory authorities, if they say this is my policy, this is the quality policy, this is my company policy, you show it, you live it, you lead it. So if I'm talking something, if I demonstrate that I'm doing it, why not the below one? They will also follow me, right? First of all, if I say, Celine, you should be here by 7 o'clock, and I come at 10 o'clock, how do you feel? It is as simple as that. So we have to live what we are saying. Simple.
Participate, be with you, go see how you're doing. Say, listen, you guys, you're doing a great job. Encourage, engage. And once you have the top and the bottom engaging, wow, that's very powerful.
What did I learn? I learned that change is inevitable. I learned that movements are needed. Movements are needed definitely at a site to trigger certain things. But to sustain it, to sustain quality culture, the commitment is needed from the top.
A word of conclusion, Louis?
To engage your employees, and they will take your company to another level, especially in the shop floor. And that's for sure.
May you be heard, dear Lavanya and Luis. To everyone listening to us, I hope you've enjoyed this Dare to Unlead podcast series and this bonus episode. I hope they inspired new thoughts and opened new possibilities. And if they did, please let me know and share with your friends. Get in touch if you feel I can help you and your business. In a fragmented world, we need to learn and master the art of relational leadership. I am here for you and with you as you dare to unlead. Great insights. Thank you all for listening. You'll find more info in Dare to Unlead, the book, and all links in the podcast episode description. And now, what else? Action! To explore further and apply these ideas to your own context, reach out to me at weneedsocial.com. Let's unlead together.